Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So, if you're learning English and maybe feeling a bit stuck or like you've hit a wall, you are definitely in the right place today. We're going deep on two really powerful ideas, stuff that often gets missed, honestly, but can totally change how you learn English. First up, why making mistakes is actually, well, crucial, like you need to make them. And second, we've got a super simple study method, really straightforward, designed to speed things up without, burning you out. Yeah, this one's for anyone looking to get more confident, more consistent with their spoken English.
Right, and it's amazing how well these two things work together. When you stop being terrified of errors, it really frees you up to just use the language. And that active use fits perfectly into this efficient, sort of sustainable way of learning we'll talk about. It's not just about grinding harder, it's about working smarter with how your brain actually learns.
Okay, let's unpack that fear thing first. Because almost every learner I talk to feels it. That worry about sounding silly, messing up grammar, or just blanking, forgetting a word right when you need it. It feels like this huge barrier. But what if that fear is actually stopping you from making progress? What if those mistakes aren't failures, but maybe like clues, signs you're moving forward?
Well, yeah. What's fascinating here is how often we forget the natural learning process, especially with language. Think about little kids learning to talk. They don't sit down with grammar books, do they? No, they just talk, they babble, they make tons of mistakes. But we don't shut them down. We cheer them on. We encourage them to communicate, right? We celebrate the effort, not pick apart every little error. And that's exactly how fluency develops. Mistakes aren't just like bumps in the road. They're the engine driving you forward.
That makes a lot of sense when you put it like that. But, I mean, if you've spent years getting corrected or feeling embarrassed, that's a really tough habit to break mentally. Like, if I keep making the same mistakes, aren't I just, digging those bad habits in deeper? Isn't there a danger there?
That's a fair question. And yeah, there's a difference, definitely. We need to distinguish between mistakes made when you're actively trying to produce language, trying to communicate, versus just sort of blindly repeating errors without awareness. The mistakes we're saying are good are the ones that happen when you push yourself. They show you the edges of what you know right now. They're like little flags saying, hey, look over here. Your brain gets that immediate feedback. Oops, that didn't work. Or, that felt awkward. That struggle, that feedback loop, that's what actually helps your brain learn and adapt most effectively.
Okay, so it's less about avoiding errors and more about seeing them as like useful data, high-quality feedback. I remember trying to speak French ages ago, and I finally just told myself, it's fine if I sound like a 3-year-old. Just talk. And shifting my perspective like that, it was honestly so freeing. And when you do embrace it, mistakes actually help you in specific ways, right? They show you exactly where you're weak. They give your brain feedback no book can. And yeah, sometimes messing up, figuring out why you messed up, that's when you have those big aha moments. That's where the real learning sticks.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, fluency really comes from using English actively. Not just, reading about it or listening passively. Understanding rules is one thing, memorizing words is another. But you have to pull that knowledge out, use it, adapt it on the fly. So yeah, speaking, messing up, picking yourself up, and speaking some more, that's really the only way to get better and feel more confident. You can't master riding a bike just by reading the manual, right? You gotta get on, wobble, maybe fall off, and get back on.
Right. So the big takeaway for this first part is pretty liberating, actually. Speak, mess up, keep going. That's the new mantra. Okay, so now let's switch from the mindset piece to the practical stuff, the method. Because once you're okay with making mistakes, you need a good system, right? Something to channel that effort.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting. We've got a simple, 3-part method, something concrete you can use to upgrade your English routine, but without making it feel like, homework overload.
Exactly. And the whole idea behind this method is that simple is usually better. Forget trying to do everything perfectly every day. The real power here is in consistency, not complexity. We often think, more effort must mean more results. But actually, small, focused bits of progress done consistently, that adds up hugely over time. And it helps you avoid getting stuck or burning out.
Okay, so step 1 is all about input, listening and reading. This is your daily dose of English. Try to spend some time every day just taking English in. Watch YouTube videos on stuff you actually like. Listen to podcasts, read short stories, news articles, whatever interests you. And the key thing, seriously, is don't stress about understanding every single word. 100% comprehension isn't the goal here. Just let yourself be immersed in it. Your brain's amazing. It'll start picking up patterns, sounds, the rhythm of the language kind of subconsciously. That's how you build that gut feeling for what sounds right.
Yeah, and this raises an important question. Are you actually feeding your brain enough good quality material? Consistent exposure, even if it's just, say, 15 or 20 minutes a day, lets your brain do its thing in the background. It's like training a smart system, right? The
Mhm.
more good data you feed it, the better it gets at spotting patterns and figuring things out. Builds that foundation.
Makes sense. Okay, then step 2 is output. Speak and write. This is where you switch from taking it in to actually producing the language, putting it into action. You really, really have to speak, even if you're just talking to yourself. Seriously. I talk to myself in the car sometimes, practicing how I'd explain something or respond in a situation. You could use your phone, record little voice notes, just your thoughts, or describe your day, or even short videos talking about something you just learned. And writing counts too. Keep a simple journal, maybe just a couple of sentences each day, or try writing social media comments in English. The main goal is just active use, pushing yourself to find the words, form the sentences, not just recognize them passively.
hmm And if we connect this back, output is really where the rubber meets the road, where theory meets practice. It's one thing to, like, understand a grammar point in a book. It's totally different to use it correctly when you're actually talking or writing, especially spontaneously. Producing language like that, it forces you to retrieve what you know, which cements the learning. But maybe even more importantly, it instantly shows you where the gaps are, what you thought you knew but actually struggle to use. That's vital information.
Right, which leads perfectly into step 3. Review smart. Now, this isn't about going back and trying to fix every single thing you did wrong. Nope. This is super focused, like laser targeted. End of the week, maybe. Look back at those voice notes or journal entries and just pick out 2 or 3 mistakes you made. That's it. Only 2 or 3. Write them down, figure out why it was a mistake, what's the correct way. Then, and this is important practice, saying the correct version out loud a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And that's it for the review. Do not overwhelm yourself trying to perfect everything at once. It's this targeted focus that makes the corrections really stick without the burnout.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is just how powerful that focus correction is compared to trying to boil the ocean, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to fix every little slip up is just, it's too much. It's demotivating. But by deliberately picking just a few key things, you give yourself the space to really understand them, correct them properly, and let that sink in. It's quality over quantity when it comes to fixing errors, making sure those specific corrections actually stick.
Love that. Okay, and we have a bonus tip here, which is maybe my favorite part. Make it fun. Seriously, make your practice enjoyable. Find ways to use English for things you already love. If you're crazy about sports, watch games with English commentary. Read sports sites in English. If you love travel, read travel blogs, watch travel shows in English. Music, look up lyrics, sing along. The more you connect learning to your passions, the less it feels like a chore, right? And the more likely you are to actually do it consistently. Learning shouldn't feel like punishment. So what does this all mean for your journey? Let's wrap this up. Basically, 2 big ideas to take away today. First, those mistakes. They're not failures, they're fuel. They're a natural, necessary part of getting better. Embrace them. And second, a good study plan doesn't need to be some crazy complex thing. Simple and consistent wins. Input, output, smart review. That's the core. A little bit every day really, really adds up. It makes a huge difference over time.
Absolutely. And maybe this raises one last important question for you, the listener, to think about. What if the main thing holding you back from speaking English the way you want to? What if it isn't really about your ability or needing more study hours? What if it's simply about finding the courage to speak up, speak often, and yeah, embrace every single one of those valuable mess ups along the path? Just something to consider.